Hey everyone, here's an update on the 69 Camaro. Got the 6 tube dropped in, cross members welded in, or at least tacked in. Same thing with the motor mounts. They're all lightly tacked in. I have this 2x4 here to keep the distance, so when I pull the motor mount and solidly weld those in, I don't have to worry about them flexing or moving. The other 2x4 is somewhere else in the shop, but I'm going to put it inside there when I do the same thing. The rack and pinion's actually going to clear. It's going to make it to the column. I actually had to chop out the firewall after I just welded it back in. Well, that's alright because that means I get to hammer that out and actually try to smooth that out, make it look better. But this is the 6.2 supercharged with some LSX accessory pulley drives, and where are the stamps on the head? These are, if it would focus, PRC heads. Ported polish, big cam, factory supercharged, factory pulley, and a 102 mil throttle body with adapter. We're running the factory trans. I just got the 2015 dashboard all trimmed up, ready to be installed. I just ran out of argon. So now I gotta wait for the welding supply shops to open tomorrow. Then I'll fill up both tanks and get all the brackets welded in for the dash. From underneath, they're actually quite simple and easy. I just gotta make a few tabs and weld it up. Got the full dashboard installed. Trying different center consoles. I tried the 2015. I tried the original 69. The 69 fits better, but none of this fits. But I can probably do a little conversion, take that center wood grain piece out of the 69, chop it up, and actually modify that to fit inside there. If when I pop this out, if it lines up, I might go that route because it actually fits better between the seats. But these seats are being reupholstered, and these are the original 2015 SS seats. I had to actually chop out the firewall and a bit of the transmission tunnel to about right here. I expanded it. I welded in the cross member, and the reason why I welded in the cross member that way, because the way this transmission's set up, it will drag too low to the ground, so this is a way to get it to be angled properly, which works out because I can actually run the exhaust system pretty much right down the transmission, down both sides, and pretty much collect right here and make the X pipe right here and run out the back. The dry shaft, surprisingly, should clear. I'm still waiting for the purchase for the 4-link to come in for the lower, so I can get my 2x4s out of there and line this up. And this Ford 9-inch, more than likely, is going to have to be chopped on one side because I got to scoot the axle over about an inch that way, inch and a half, because clearly this sticks out too far. But the only downside is when I do that, it's going to throw the pinion angle off. So technically, I actually need to go more this way to line up the pinion angle with the actual drive shaft, because Ford 9-inch, the actual pinion is not in the center, it's off to one side. If I go in here, okay, those are the tack welds I did just for now. But if you look dead on, the axle does not line up in the center. Neither does the carrier itself, or the center line of it. So I gotta scoot the axle more over that way, which is already sticking out too far that way, to actually line up the Ford 9-inch with this. And we're actually doing a slip yoke, so I gotta take the transmission apart and put a tail shaft inside of it for a slide yoke. And then when my brackets show up for those right there, I'm going to weld those in, scoot the axle over, try to get everything all centered up. Hopefully I don't have to chop those off, because I did real big welds to make sure those didn't break, and it'll be a nightmare to cut those off if I have to. So hopefully I can center up the axle a little bit better. I'm more than likely have to cut that stub down, take probably an inch and a half out maybe, to scoot that over, and then cut the shaft, axle shaft itself, slide it back in, re-weld it all back together. And then tomorrow when I have help, I'm going to pull the transmission and motor out, drop the cross member, weld in all these brackets, paint the whole K member, go back, install it, and then I'm waiting for my braces to come in, but there's actual frame lockers that lock the front K member to the rear part of the unibody back there, which actually ties in with the four-link, so it stiffens up the chassis. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do, because this thing is going to make enough power, it's going to need it. But overall, this is how it's turning out. I'm going to be able to fit the interior panels, dashboard, probably the 2016 or 15 door panels, just either got to extend them or shorten them. I don't have them here to actually try them at the moment. And right behind my toolbox is the headliner, and if I remove all the foam and spray a little bit of water in the back so I can soften up the cardboard, or not cardboard, but the wood stuff they use, I can probably straighten that out with a steam cleaner or a steamer, and then make it lay across the whole inside of here. And it actually should line up because it's the same dimensions, same measurements as the 2015, which will make it very nice. And then I got a star headliner lighting I got to install in it as well. That's the way the dashboard turned out. I'm going to get a gasket that's actually going to go inside here that has a double seal that'll go on both sides and seal it properly. But that's going to be the setup. And then I got the old trans tunnel that I chopped out back over there. I'm more than likely not going to use that. I'm going to get an aftermarket one to weld that in. I actually got quite a bit of room, so it works out. I can probably still run the factory air system right here, because I was stuck on a debate to either use the 2015 evaporator, blower motor, and everything inside there, or get the vintage air unit, which will run out here, which will cover up this kind of horrible looking firewall. So knowing I have this much room, I might go with the vintage air unit. But overall, I mean, it's coming out pretty well. Whoever did the welds on this cross member for the shock towers, this one's the good side. One of these sides it looks like it's cracked, so I got to go through and re-weld it. I can't see it anymore. Oh, right there. Right in there. You can see the gap. So I'm going to go through, kick the welder up to probably 25 to 28 volts, and just melt all that together. And then I got my off-center bushings for my rack and pinion. Because currently, with this oil pan setup and everything, the transmission's leveled with the K member, which is nice. But I had to actually undo the bolts and lower this just to make it clear, but you can see how far it's off on both. And I still got the tiniest gap ever between the oil pan. So the off-center bushings will lower the rack and make it be able to clear, and this should all work out pretty nicely. I got to drop the K member, paint that, bedline the whole underneath of the car all the way up to probably much this section right here, leave an inch or two away from the firewall. I obviously got to weld back in the transmission tunnel. Once I get that all measured out and welded back in, then I'm going to finish bedlining the rest, and hopefully by the end of this week, because it's Monday right now, this car will be getting paint on it. That's a little heads up of what's going on it. I got parts everywhere in the shop. There's parts over there. There's parts up there. There's parts on top of my box. There's parts on top of my boss's box. I got parts hid over there underneath the other tech's box. I got parts over there. I got parts in the back. So this is going to be a fun resto mod. See how it turns out. It's going to be a nice one. That's a little update. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one.